Notts County Talk, back with another match preview. It's against Halifax on a Tuesday night at 7:45. We're at their place. So, it's going to be a difficult game all around, really, because it's our second game in a month. When you look at in terms of momentum and, getting players getting form together, even Ardy selecting his best 11 this season, it's very, very difficult. So, it's going to be a tough game to call. I think it's anyone's game really going into the game, but I think that's just going to be the nature of this season. But yeah, I'll pass over to the stat man himself, Tom.
So let's get on to the stats for our much anticipated return to action against Halifax. Now, Halifax obviously was supposed to play on Saturday. Their game was postponed, so they've had the benefit of a bit of a rest. I wouldn't say Notts have benefited from a rest. It's been one game in 31 days by the time Tuesday night's game kicks off, which is it's players losing match sharpness, it's lack of momentum being able to be built, which I think we saw against Aldershot. It's preparing for games that are then called off, which is a waste of everybody's time. It's just a complete mess. So the quicker we get back to games, the sooner, and just the better. It's pivotal for not a season that we get back playing regularly as well. So looking at the stats, Halifax have played the same amount of games as Notts, 6. They sit in 20th on 6 points. Notts, to say we haven't played too many games, haven't done too badly. We currently sit in 12th on 9 points. Now, I expected after this break for us to be a lot further down, and a win would take us, well, if other results go our way, it could take us up a fair few places. So it's not all doom and gloom for Notts at the minute. We could be in a better position than we are. But to say we've had some poor results, it's not all bad. The table's not looking too bad. Now, Notts have scored 10 and conceded 8. We've obviously conceded too many. Scoring wise, it's decent. We could be scoring a few more to say that we have scored 3 in some games. Halifax, on the other hand, 4 scored, 4 conceded in 6 games. That tells me two things. It tells me tight defensively, but also at the same time they're struggling to get the goals as well. And there's a reason when I go into the players to watch for Halifax that I'll mention in a minute. But, they're a team that's going to be hard to break down, and Notts can do that. But we haven't come up against a team as of yet that this season we've known on big scorers. Obviously, you've got your Dovers, but that was the first game of the season. There's not a team yet that we've really thought, right, if we break them down, we can definitely do a job and keep a clean sheet like we did against Sutton. Now, Halifax, winless if you take the cup in 6, Notts winless in 2. And if you look back to last season, Notts got the better of Halifax on both occasions, at Meadow Lane and away from home. Now, in the fixture away from home, you'll remember it was a fantastic win. It ended in the 98th minute with Kyle Wootton getting through. I think it was from the pass forward from the keeper. Got the assist for us. I don't know who was in goal that day. Got the assist, played it through to Wootton, and we secured it after Mitch Rose gave us the lead again in the 81st minute from the penalty spot. So, if it's anything like that, it's going to be an interesting game. And that does take me on to the players to watch. Now, this is probably the most important player for us to keep an eye out for, and it's Jake Hyde. Now, he is a striker, and he played the last 2 seasons at Woking. Now, in those 2 seasons, he got 28 goals. 12 2 years ago. Last year, he got 16. Now, that's a very good return for a striker. It's what Notts need. Notts need a player like we did last season that gets to those figures, but we need it consistently in the league. We need Wootton, who's already started well, to come up and get a goal, maybe 2 every other game, something like that. So he's a player to watch out for. He's currently not scored this season. So if he can step up, if he can, start scoring, which he's bound to soon, and I hate these superstitions, he could do it against us, couldn't he? If he's got to start somewhere, he's a player I've got to watch out for. At the other end of the pitch, you've got to look at the goalkeeper, Sam Johnson. Now, he's been a mainstay for 3-4 years at this club, only conceded 4, so that tells me that, he's a handy goalkeeper. We've come up this season against some fairly poor ones so far this season, but if Sam Johnson is going to be beaten, it's going to take a lot from our key players. And finally, I'm going for Jack Ealing. He's young midfielder. He's got 2 goals this season as their top scorer. Used to be at Bolton. Now, obviously, he's got the experience, came through the ranks, but only played one senior league game for the club. And they're my 3 players that we need to watch out for on Tuesday night.
Moving on to team news for Notts now. Obviously, the huge news, Cal Roberts has extended his contract. That news was released on Friday. It's nice to get a bit of positive news in, like the club sort of were saying themselves. So yeah, that's massive. He's here now till 2023. Whether he'll fulfil that contract, I hope he does. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do end up selling him to a team a bit further up, because his performances, even on the bigger stage, like the playoff final against semi-final, against Barnet, he was, great goal, great performance. So he's had the big games on the bigger stage. Even in the final, the free kick goal, it's a great goal. But yeah, in terms of injuries, there's not much in the way of news for the minute. Obviously, there was a little bit of injury news that Cal Roberts had picked up a strain to the calf, but that was a week or so ago now. So you don't really know if he's come around it. And Rawlinson, I think, had a little bit of a cold, but you think by now he'd sort of be over that, because that was in the lead up to the sort of Stockport game. So it's a week on now, so you think he would be over that. So that brings me on to team selection. Now I'm going into this as if everyone's fit and ready to go in. Obviously, we don't really know the ins and outs of who had the virus, injury updates at the moment. So I'm just going to go straight in with the strongest team. So it picks himself, Slocum in goal. You know what you get with Slocum. It's professional performance every time. Right back, I am going to pick Brinley. I think he's obviously Ardley's preferred right back now, so you've got to sort of expect him to be picked at this point. Centre back pairing. Now, I am going to go for Graham and Lacey. Now, Lacey, obviously in the last game, had a bit of a stinker with the goal. He tweeted about it, he apologised, he admitted it was his fault. Fair play to him, he stood up to what he did, and he'll want to put it right, I think. So hopefully he gets the chance to, because if he can get back on the similar form that he was last season, we're going to have a fantastic defender in him. Same goes for Graham, really. I think when he hits form and you get that run of games with him, he's going to be a fantastic player. So yeah, that's the centre-back pairing. And left-back, I'm going to choose Kelly Evans, for the reason that I do think Chickson, I'm sure he's on international duty, so I don't know if he'll be in contention anyway. But even if he was, I'd still be picking Kelly Evans over him. Gone for a midfield 3, so 2 more defensive players sitting in front of the back 4. Gone for Doyle and Reeves, pick themselves. Fantastic players. Such a shame of Doyle's age, because you're left feeling this is probably his last season. Reeves gives 110%. Even in the games where the team performance isn't the best, he's sort of the standout player. So yeah, that's who I've gone for. In front of those 2, so the attacking midfielder Ruben Rodriguez, I'd like to see him really get a run of games and get in some form. He's one of those interesting players you want to see do well. Sort of similar with Elisha Sam, but he's sort of got to come up against Wharton's place, so you don't really fancy him playing over Wharton yet at the moment, but we'll see. And front 3, so on the right wing, I've gone Cal Roberts, for obvious reasons. On the left wing, Thomas. I think he does a job. He's been quite good this season from what we've seen. And up top, Kyle Wharton. You can't really choose anyone else. So that is my starting 11. I'm going to go on to my prediction now. It's almost impossible to predict, really, because like I said at the start of this video, it's our second game in 31 days, so we don't know who's playing well, who's going to hit form. Match sharpness is going to be off massively, but I am a Notts fan, so I'm going to have to go for a Notts win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. Yeah, I'm going to get Wharton to get up there with the goals now, so hopefully he can string a few goals together this season. I will hand back over to Tom for his prediction.
Looking ahead to the result then, and how I see it going, I am going to have to go for another draw. I did it in the Aldershot game. I went for 1-1. Unfortunately, we lost 1-0. But, one game in 31 days, it's not going to be beneficial to Notts. I thought that with Halifax playing on Saturday, we might have a bit of a helping hand there with their players being tired, but obviously they didn't play, so they've pretty much had a full week's rest. I think I'm going to go for 2-2 this time. They don't score too many, they don't concede too many, but a bit of a combination of Notts, really not being not having any wiggle room to lose this game, but also there's going to be a lack of cohesion, a lack of match sharpness, and I think that'll allow them to up their goal tally for the season. But I do think the drive from the players to turn it around, which hasn't been a fantastic start to the season, is going to be a 2-2. I'm going to go for a Kyle Walton double. He's been really, really good this season. So far, up there with Wes Thomas for my player of the season and Jake Reeves, obviously. We've got to hope that now we start to turn things around because, if we're playing catch up too much and the gap keeps increasing, it just adds more pressure on Notts. So we need to be playing at the same time as the other teams that are going for promotion. So, big game for me. Big game if we can get a win, fantastic. But I'm not putting too much pressure on them for this game.